Yes, again. Here I am. New venue, new ride. Actually, this is one of the first venues I've biked to. I moved here 22 years ago in this neighborhood, Toronto, and my friends and I, we used to come down to these little trails called Earl Bales trails, and would hang out, chill. Here, I'll show you. Yeah, there's another golf course over there, and just it's nice to be here, you know. We'd come, sit, talk shit. We're kids, 12 years old. Some of us even younger, and a few of us older. But I've got to thinking about the past, about a lot of things. It's funny, I'll say it, a lot of you guys probably will laugh and think it's trivial or naive. But, you know, my cat's not doing too well. She's old, she's getting pretty senile, and I was really attached to her. I didn't really think about I've thought about this moment, but, you know, you can never expect, you can never really prepare for them until they actually come. You know, she's still around, she's still kicking, but I realized something that, you know, was a long time coming. With pets, people you love, anything really, but probably living beings is more natural. That you invest a piece of your life in them, and when they go and something happens to them, it can flush out a bunch of memories that you held on to, you cherish. And so maybe I came here on instinct because I wanted to, you know, I go for these bike rides, and sometimes I pick destinations and sometimes they just happen. And I don't know, I knew I was going to come this way. I ended up here, and maybe it's an opportune moment. You know, I'm not here to talk about my cat, obviously, or my childhood, although I think I'll use my childhood as an example to talk about a topic that is personal to me, and that's regrets. A lot of people say live your life without any of them, right? Like, have no regrets, live like it's nothing. But that's a bit easy. It's a bit simplistic. You know, you can't just go for everything. You can't be this voracious, like sporadic, spontaneous, overly spontaneous, like some kind of like a raging bull where like you see something, you just charge at it. But at the same time, you don't want to be too reserved. Some things will pass you by and you'll regret not taking some of these chances. It's a really fucked up state of the world. You can never go back. No matter what happens, you can affect your future, you can be a different person every day, you can change a lot of things, but there is like one rule in this world, in this universe. There is no going back. There's no rewinding. Maybe someone from a couple of 100 years or some aliens will prove me wrong. But here's what it is for now. So what it is. So what's this idea of regret, right? What do you want to regret and what don't you want to regret? I think at some point you'll have some sort of regrets. Dwelling on them is not healthy, not for too long. But I think one thing you should never have to regret is wasting time. See, it's tricky because when you're young, you have a lot of it. You think you're going to have a lot of it. You think you're always going to have a little bit more until the moment comes, just like all these moments. That's why they're called moments. You know, they're just instantaneous almost. They take time to build up, but we don't really keep track of that time. We have personal time, me time, work time, school time. It all falls down into this time that collapses on you. So what happens? You know, you can spend your time wisely, or you can spend your time selfishly. Now, selfishly is the bad one. It's too selfishly. All you're doing is just jumping from one pleasure to the next, exploring things, doing that, chasing trends, chasing cloud, running around, confused. You can't have too much of that, you know. You gotta have some of that for sure, but you know, you can't. You can't have too much of that, because later when you, especially if you waste some and then you get on the right track, and you look back, you go, oh fuck, I could have done so much more. I could have been efficient here. I could have fixed this. Now that I know, there's no going back. Don't forget that. There's an amazing, beautiful expression that goes, "Youth is wasted on the young," because when you're young, when you're youthful, you're so careless, but you have so much potential. And then when it fades, like it really does fade. Like it's a good analogy. It's a good term to say that the fire eventually starts growing warm, and then, and it's hard to see the path, man. It's hard to be heated. It's hard to be, you know, in the moment. It's like kind of strapping yourself with extra weight and going uphill. You can do it, but hey, you ain't gonna be competitive no more. Not in this savage universe, because that's where efficiency comes in, right? That's why we want to get these things out of the way as soon as possible, when the mind is the freshest, when you learn the most, when you have the most to give, and when you have the least to lose. I can't stand when young people are so scared about their grades. This is like the biggest part of like school system failure, that reinforces these grades. Like, look, grades have some value. They reinforce a metric that you have to be competitive. You can't just do things on your own term. You don't know what the other guy is like, you know, like you're working on something and then the other guy's working on something. You might be just left in the dust so hard that you would have wasted your time. So grades like are a metric of that, but we always find ways to gamify things, right? Like we'll take a metric like grades and we'll try to like hire tutors, essay writers, we'll hire all sorts of people, get help, like, you know, pay someone to take exams for us. That's the kind of risk taking that you're gonna miss out on, and that's the kind of regret you do not want to live with. Look, if you're not talented and you can't write the goddamn exam, I don't know, give it a fucking shot. But see, the system penalizes you for giving it a shot. That's the problem. If you went in there, you took it, and you're like, damn, you know, I scored pretty low compared to the other kids. It is what it is. But you don't want, you're smarter than that in some ways. Like maybe you're not good at adding up numbers, but you're smart enough to understand that if you don't get this test, your chances of having the kind of future that you want go down the toilet. So you don't take risks as a kid. You don't, you waste your time, and you, I don't know, man. You lose in a way, to be honest. Now, thankfully, I didn't have to do that, and did okay. Failed some exams, aced some exams. But what I found is that these arbitrary metrics, you have to be careful with them. They're like suggestions. You definitely got to take some suggestions. You can't go, you're doing it right now. Like if you're listening to this video, and maybe if you've listened to some of my other videos, you think what I have to say is worthwhile. You're taking some suggestions, I hope. So you can't fully discard them. But if you're gonna go now and start, making life choices based on this video, please don't. Absolutely not. Things take time to marinate, you know. And if you don't start the marination process, hopefully early, at some point, you won't have a damn pickle. What a fucking analogy, huh? So yeah, these kinds of moments when we experience profound loss, profound transformation in like a loss of a job, loss of a loved one, loss of a limb, a trauma. These are, we had a sociology class I really, really enjoyed back in the day. We discussed character and how people's personalities are formed, and these sorts of experiences. They were called marginal experiences, these times when you have to undergo a very serious change in yourself, and how you change is going to like set you up for like a long time coming. You know, some people cave, some people get depressed, and to some extent I think that some of that is almost unavoidable. But you change after that period a lot. So am I being dramatic? Am I gonna commit suicide if my cat dies? No, I love her. I gave her the best life. She, I think, lived an amazing life. She was eating barbecue chickens without the sauce, obviously, on a daily basis, and had almost every luxury a cat can have these days. She was great, is great. But after 14 years with caring for an animal, going after, getting her food, bringing her stuff, plus, going on these trips with, other people, and just these memories, they add up, man. And that person, that animal, character, creature, weaves into your life and becomes a fabric that when torn out, when removed, loosens and frays your sense of self a little bit, sometimes a lot. And then you can look back. A lot of times we look back and we make mistakes, like, oh, I wish I would have done this better, I wish I would have done that better. And I really hope that you don't have to ponder those things too much. The earlier you start, the more hardships you overcome when you're younger, fewer of them you'll have to deal with when you're later. And trust me, you're better off dealing with them when you're younger. When you're older, you want to have your comfort. You want to recline, you want to be careless, you want to chill, you want to know that you've done a lot of things right. And so the few regretful things, well, let's just say they had to be done. Anyway, stay positive, explore your neighborhood, get out there and take some chances.